I've always wanted to talk about the Lenz, my favorite weapon in the game. Now, unlike most weapons in this series, the Corpus explosive bow it's pretty good on its own, but when paired with a decent Riven, this thing is capable of some pretty cool stuff. Today we're going to take a look into that. I'm Deuce, and thanks in advance for watching. For starters, the Lenz has a myriad of unique mechanics. Looking at the numbers, we can deduce that this is a critical weapon. It also packs the highest damage for the bow subclass, and its fire rate is not good to say the least. But aside from that, the Lenz fires explosive arrows, which detonate on impact, creating a dome within a 6-meter radius before exploding again and melting everything inside. A unique feature of this weapon is the fact that it has 3 damage instances. The first one is the arrow itself when it hits an enemy, dealing impact damage. The second one is a mandatory cold proc that slows down everything within its range, and the third one is the explosion, which deals primarily blast damage. According to the Wikia, it's tied with the Dread for the highest critical chance in the game, enabling it to go over 100% pretty easily. Another thing to take into account is the fact that the Lenz has a built-in ammo mutation, which converts any ammunition pickup into arrows, allowing it to never run out of said arrows, which is crucial considering its ridiculously low capacity. Building wise, this weapon is expensive, very expensive. It's a mastery rank 8 weapon, which is low all things considered, but resource wise it needs 3 resources which can be tricky to gather. First we have Cryotic, not a particularly rare resource, but it needs 2400 of those. That's the equivalent of 24 excavators, which is not a petty amount. It also takes 10 field run. Either building them or farming them may take days, or one excruciatingly long one where you only go for invasions. Last but not least, this thing needs 3 Nighten extract. Probably you're like me and learned from the Valbum Prime experience, thus stockpiling these beloved resources in bulk. Now this thing is dangerous, not only because of the fact that it's an explosive weapon, but also because if you find yourself within its blast radius, the cold proc will affect you as well, making it harder to move away from its reach and thus turning you into mush. To counter this, I use mine with Limbo, since the Rift will shield you from the Lenz's damage. The constant in and out takes some getting used to, but it will significantly reduce the number of self-inflicted mush conversions by a ton. Thankfully, Limbo is also my favorite frame, so it makes everything better. But this weapon is also very good, especially now that hunting munitions is a thing. There is a widespread rumor about it not working well with this mod, but that's just not true. As you can see, slash procs occur with incredible frequency, and the amount of damage they scale from, it's quite impressive, making it an amazing crowd sweeper even at high levels. In order to understand how that's possible, we need to take a look into how the Lenz can proc slash, which is a two-way deal. First, it's the arrow itself, and then it's the explosion. So per shot you have 2 chances to proc slash using hunting munitions. Add to that multi-shot and you can double, triple, and so on depending on the amount you have. What makes this bow special is the fact that the explosion can apply set procs on an area, meaning it can inflict several status effects to several enemies with just a single shot, unlike most weapons in the game that only do this one enemy at a time. This is an innate advantage the Lenz has and automatically catapults it into the really good weapons category. To further expand on the Lenz's capabilities enters my Riven mod, Lenz Gelacron, which adds plus 109% cold damage, plus 158.4% critical chance, and has minus 23.7% magazine capacity. Rolled 10 times, this is not the best or anything of the sort. I'll say that it's subpar, since for my intended build it only has 1 positive stat, but regardless, that critical chance pushes the Lenz over the 200% mark. Yes, red crit territory. Not by much, but still, it's like having Argon Scope without the need for headshots. The cold damage is nice and all since it adds another instance for the critical damage to scale with, but this is a hunting munitions Lenz. What you want as a complement for that critical chance, it's something in the vein of base damage, critical damage, or multi-shot. The first 2 will increase the damage of the slash procs directly, and the third one will increase the number of arrows per shot, thus giving you more chances to proc slash, which in turn increases your Lenz's effective DPS. As for the negative part, minus magazine capacity is as harmless as you'd get for a bow, since they only have 1 arrow magazines, unless you count the Zouge and the Attica as bows, but those are technically auto crossbows, so let's move on. If you ask me, the ideal role for a Riven here will be one with critical damage, critical chance, multi-shot, base damage, and the elemental combo of Toxin and Cold, which can produce viral damage, all in that order of preference. As for negatives, well, there is the ever-present minus recoil. Also, here it's pretty much harmless to have minus magazine capacity. Now, I don't know what would happen if this value is too high, but still. And minus zoom. Numbers wise, since this is a 3 out of 5 Riven disposition weapon, the values will not be that impressive, but could reach some pretty good levels. I'm talking in the hundreds and even in the low 200s. If you have some 3 out of 5s with better stats, please let me know, so that I can curse my luck forever. Let's get to the build, which is, as you may imagine, a pretty standard for Forma Hunter Munitions build with a couple of twists. First, we have the Riven itself, and then we have Vigilante Fervor. These two effectively substitute the usual 2-elemental combo that gives viral damage and, more importantly, viral procs. But since the Lenz deals so much damage, it's something you can live without. As you saw earlier, 150s with this thing are nothing. The reason behind the use of Vigilante Fervor spawns from the fact that I run it with a Vigilante Limbo that has 2 other mods from this set. Add to that Vigilante Armaments, and the global bonus gives a 20% chance to increase the level of your crit. Since this is a 200% plus crit chance weapon, you have guaranteed orange crits, which, as you've been seeing throughout the video, turn into red crits very often. Also, this gives a very slim but real chance to obtain the new double red crits, which in turn fuel the slash proc scaling, thus enabling some insane damage without the need to worry about that annoying armor or damage mitigation. In conclusion, the Lenz is pretty good, especially with Hunter Munitions. Add to that a decent Riven, which is very much feasible here, and the result is an impressive piece of Corpus technology that will melt just about anything, including yourself if you're not careful enough. So if you encounter a Riven for this weapon during your travels, don't be swayed by the ever-alluring smell of platinum. Give it a shot. Building costs may be steep, and the prospect of putting 4 Formas into it may not be that attractive, but trust me, this beauty is a lot of fun. Don't miss out on it. As for my part, this has been all for now. If you enjoyed the video or you found it interesting, please consider giving it a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more Warframe content and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with everything. Again, thank you very much for watching. Whatever you are, have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.